Okay, stop what you're doing. We need to discuss this because there is something strange happening in football right now, and most people don't even realize it.
No, this guy is on another planet. Is just different. That's why I said at the beginning of the game, MVP will always be Kylian, because Kylian will put numbers that nobody can do. But the most important player is Michael Olise.
Michael Olise has suddenly become one of the most loved players in world football. But here's the problem, nothing about him is sudden. The skills were always there, the vision was always there, and most certainly, the talent was always there. So why does it feel like the entire football world just woke up one morning and discovered Olise? The strange thing about Olise is that nothing about him ever really changed. Not his technique, not his vision, not the way he glides past players like they're not even there. He has always looked like this, effortless, calm, and almost detached from all the chaos around him. So if nothing changed, then the real question isn't why is he performing now? The question is, why did it take so long for the world to notice? To understand this, let's go back to the very beginning. Chelsea had him in their academy, one of the most advanced talent systems in the world, and they let him go. Arsenal had him, and still they didn't take it further. At that point it should have been a warning sign, but later Manchester City also took a chance and they finally decided they had to move on. 3 elite environments, 3 different chances, 1 consistent decision. They all said, we do not need you. So now the question changes. Was he not good enough, or was he simply misunderstood? Because while big clubs turned away, Olise didn't disappear. He went somewhere else, somewhere quieter, somewhere almost invisible in football terms. Reading FC made the call, and that should have been the end of the story. A talented kid in a club outside of the spotlight, slowly fading into background football. But something strange happened. The less people watched him, the better he became. Assists that did not belong in that league, first touches that broke the defensive structures, decisions that looked too fast for everyone else on the pitch. It wasn't just he was good, it looked like he was playing in a different version of the game. But here's the problem, nobody was really watching, because Reading wasn't in the Premier League, it wasn't playing Champions League football, it wasn't even the kind of club that dominates headlines. So while Olise was producing moments of magic that looked world class, the world stayed quiet. This created a strange situation. A player too good for the league is in, but in a league too small for the world to notice him. But football has a language of its own. Even when no one is watching, the right people are. Slowly, whispers started to spread. Not headlines, not hypes, just one idea repeating itself constantly. There's this kid at Reading we need to see. And once that sentence starts being said, football always does the same thing. It catches up. But when it did catch up to Michael Olise, everything changed. A player this calm on the ball, this composed under pressure, this technically complete shouldn't still be here. And that is where the confusion started, because normally players with this level of control don't stay in environments like this for long. At first it was just the interest. A few scouts in the stands, a few reports sent upward, a few clips watched late at night, but then it became something more serious. Clubs stopped watching casually and started watching repeatedly, and the more they watched him, the stranger it became, because Olise didn't look like a young player improving. He looked like a finished product playing in the wrong place. No panic under pressure, no forced decisions, no hesitations in tight place, just perfect control. And this created a new kind of urgency, because when a player looks this ready, every week they stay in a lower league, it starts feeling like a delay. But football doesn't move at the speed of talent. It moves at the speed of structure, negotiation, timing, planning, and that gap between what he is and where he is starts to feel bigger. And then Crystal Palace stepped in, not because they are gambling, but because they see something that others are afraid to miss. But just as everything starts moving in the right direction, football does what it always does with rising stories. It tests them. And Michael Olise was about to face the first real interruption of his career. This was supposed to be the moment everything stabilized. A Premier League club, Premier League attention, Premier League pressure, the kind of stage where talent finally becomes reality. But somehow football doesn't reward arrivals. It weirdly rewards adaptation. And at Palace, nothing came automatically. Just as it began settling, just as the rhythm started to build, it stopped. Injuries came in. Not career-defining injuries, consistent enough to interrupt one's career. Return, perform, stop, return, build momentum, stop again. And every time it happened, the question got louder. Is he unlucky or is he fragile? Because in football, repetition changes perception. But Palace didn't walk away. They didn't panic. They didn't doubt the talent. They waited. And slowly something began to change. And this time when he played, it didn't feel like potential anymore. It felt like certainty. And this is when football shifts. Because when a player like Olise finally stops being interrupted, the world stops ignoring him. Suddenly, Palace weren't just watching a developing talent. They were watching a star arrive. Football has a funny way of rewarding patience. Sometimes not immediately, but all at once. After years of waiting and after years of stopping and starting, the player football had overlooked was now becoming one of the Premier League's biggest attractions. When you become impossible to ignore in the Premier League, Europe's biggest clubs don't stay quiet for long. The call came, and it was from Bayern Munich. For some players, a move to Bayern Munich is the moment they announce themselves. For Olise, it felt more like a confirmation for all those rejections that happened previously, which they had all been part of the journey of someone who was always destined for the very top. But there was still one stage left, one audience, the one that hadn't fully experienced Michael Olise. The national team. Wearing the shirt of one of football's greatest nations come with a different kind of pressure. And yet Michael Olise looked exactly as he always had, calm, unhurried, completely unaffected by the occasion. It didn't matter the badge that was in his chest. Football to Olise never changed. This brings us to the question that we asked at the beginning. Why does everyone suddenly love Michael Olise? It isn't because he suddenly became world class. It isn't because Bayern Munich signed him. It isn't even because he's shining for France. Those moments didn't create Olise. They introduced him. The football world spent years asking, who is Michael Olise? Now they're asking a different question. How did we not see it sooner?